Hey, I'm Adam, and I want to share a little bit about my experience in the Prosperous Creative. Some of my goals going in had to do with my financial growth, my personal goals, and artistic goals, and my mindset around how I was valuing myself, my earnings, my energy, and how I'm really living up to the things that I want for myself. And although some of my goals some were specific, some were a little more open-ended, I found that the container really worked for me. Michelle is really transparent. She's really soft, yet firm in terms of the kinds of prompts that she offers and the kinds of like radical reflection, I would say, that are a part of the course. Although a lot of our time in it was spent, being accountable to one each other, finding ways to articulate some of the things that we most deeply want for ourselves. We also spent a lot of time working privately, independently, quietly even. Lots and lots of personal reflection is built in. And what I appreciate the most is Michelle's way of offering prompts for thinking and for action in a number of different ways. Some of them were, verbalized in our several weeks of process. Some were, written in text documents. The coursework that she's sharing is really awesome. And some of it was, physical, getting my hands on a book and a card that has reflection questions on it. And the encouragement to get invested in my own process, my own routines that help serve ultimately me, my energy, my happiness, and my growth professionally, creatively, financially. Those were the things that I got into it for. Those are the things that we spent the most time addressing in the ways that they are all connected, as well as ways that we can discern and focus on each one. Another thing that was wonderful for me about the course is the sense of community that comes with it. A discussion group, a forum where we can sort of celebrate one another's successes, chime in with each other, ask questions, being able to stay in contact with Michelle and these kinds of teachings and this kind of work that she's sharing with us, well after the course has made my initial commitment to it well worth the time and the money, and even we're going way beyond, and it is still an active resource. So that's really cool. On a personal note, some of the cool things that started happening to me was as soon as I said yes, as soon as I really decided to just kind of kick my fears to the wind and really go all in, when I genuinely believed I was not in a place to be able to go all in, so much started coming back to me so fast. And, that's not to sound like magical thinking. I think there's really something to getting really behind something that I really want. And when I am fully invested in the results that I'm expecting for myself, there's so much more resource and what we were calling abundance to find. So as soon as I said yes to this course, suddenly I found the ways to pay for it. I'm just going to be really honest. Suddenly I was basically doubling the amount of income that I was making at that moment, because I knew I am taking this course and I am paying for it right away, and there's no other option. That is what is happening. So that was an early marker just for me that okay, there is something to this here for me. Some other things are like really going after in smaller and concrete steps after certain kinds of professional and artistic goals. So teaching a workshop, this one that I'm teaching in a new community that I'm living in. No reason to hold back, and I'm actually designing it in a way that I really want to be seen and teach what I love so much. Work with my other colleagues and my other artistic collaborators, saying yes and also being surprised with really huge loving opportunities. And I say loving because love is a topic that we spoke on a lot. And, you know, for me, just having the encouragement in the room to really like give myself the opportunity and the trust and the safety to be like, yeah, what I really do want to think about these things is expressions of love and like loving myself enough and loving the time that I spend with others whom I care about and love to go after big things that feel bigger than me and that might feel like I'm not ready for them. But in fact, the things that I might feel least ready for are often the things that I am on the inside most ready for. That was a kind of universal lesson that we touched upon, and we spent several weeks, you know, kind of approaching that in many different ways. The last thing I'll say is the cohort that I was with, you know, it was really wonderful to be able to see these folks again, you know, people coming from different lines of work, lines of interest, and to just be in a space where it's like, hey, you know, we can all relate to something, which is we're here because we're working on ourselves in some way. And for me, that is the kind of group that I was looking for, and I was already ready to take a course like this, and I found it, and I'm really glad that I did. So I hope that is helpful, and that's what I got. Thanks.